Hey guys, it's Kelly. Mari and I decided for our challenge this week was that we wanted to use the color wheel, and I had to borrow this color wheel from a friend. I used to have one and I have no idea what I've done with it. I may have actually donated it because I really wasn't using it. But when it came to this challenge, the color wheel actually worked really well. And I wanted to show you how I went about using this to pick my colors for a layout that was a little bit more challenging with colors for me. So here's the picture that I'm going to be using, and this orange is just been my nemesis. I have not actually scrapbooked any of my pictures with my daughter on this team because of it. So what I decided was to find the color that was pretty close, and it's kind of in between this red, orange, and the orange right there. So what I want to do, instead of making it the main color, now if I were to make it the main color, I could do it a couple of things. I could use these colors on the color wheel right here to make all, like, I guess, what are they? They're not complementary, they're analogous. Okay, so this would be, I could make a layout with shades of yellow, orange to red, and that would work for this page. Or I could use related colors, or the complementary colors, I'm sorry, which would be these shades of blue. And then the split complementary are two shades that are right off of the main blue. So what I want is I want this to be like one of the three colors that I use and not the main color. So I decided to move it down and then see which colors fell into my color wheel at this point. So let's see, this is what I ended up liking. I like these shades of blue with this. Now, I am not the stickler that believes this shade needs to go with this shade. I think that these shades look well with this. And then, you know, like these shades offer more depth. So this is actually, this blue-green is going to be the main focus of what I do with the layout. And what I was thinking is that I would pull this blue-green as my background and then go from there and see how I could build up my page using this as my background. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward at this point, and I'm going to see how the layout turns out. Okay, so I hope that wasn't too confusing with what I was trying to explain about the color wheel. And I also wanted to mention that you do not actually have to have a color wheel that you can put your hands on. If you look online and just Google color wheel generator, you will find several that are free, and you can play around with it and figure out the colors that you would like to use as a jumping off point. So I decided to go into my stash. I had some of my pink Paisley Cedar Lane collection thrown in with my October hip kit, and I knew that they had that Amy Tangerine kind of orangey brush paper, and I remembered this diagonal stripe, and I thought that both of those would work well with this layout. And I really do like just that little hint of the stripe paper because it brings in that orange and it ties in that turquoise. So I am taking just offcuts. You know, in the beginning, if you saw, I was pulling out some of my 6x6 papers that I had cut into for another layout. And I really like being able to take pieces that I've already cut into because it seems to make the layout go quicker. And I think that's probably just because some of the decisions have already been made for you as far as your paper choices, and you can only, if you have a 6x6 piece of paper, there's only so many ways you can work it. So I really liked doing that, and that made this layout come together pretty quickly. So I wanted to bring in a strip of paper to break up the gray, and also to like have a little home for my title. And this is just one of the many pictures that I have of my daughter playing softball with, her friend. I love the fact that on this team that she's on right now, it's very much, when you say you have a travel team family, and some people get lucky, and some people have families that aren't so good to be around with, because when you're committing yourself to weekends spent with these people, it can either be fun or it can be really not so good. And we are blessed. We have a really, really good group of girls and parents. I really couldn't ask for anything better. So it's just neat because, this is in between a game, and the girls are watching other teams, and just, they want to hang out together even if they're not playing, and I like that. So I am just taking that, I guess, large polka dot paper is from Cedar Lane 6x6, and I'm just gutting that because I really like that pattern, and I like the fact that it's got a bunch of the colors in it, so that I can pull out some colors and I don't really have to use a lot of it. And that blue horizontal piece that is breaking up that gray pattern paper, I wanted a place for my title to go, and I knew that since I was using the silver thicker that says Smile, I knew that if I put it on something that it would at least pop it off, and if it were on that gray, it would blend in a little bit. The other thing that I pulled to go along with this layout are some supplies from Freckled Fawn. I do not subscribe to their kit club, although I would love to, but I got a couple of the kits when they were on sale, and I'm just trying to pull some of those and use them when I'm using my kits or just making layouts. I don't want to forget that, I have those things in my stash. So I decided to use paper strips on the top and bottom. One thing about this piece of paper is the branding strip on the bottom of this is perfect, and so I wanted to use that. And then when I cut off the top part to make it a 12x12 layout, the branding strip was the back side of the paper. So I just went ahead and brought that forward so that the top and bottom would have one paper that was the same and then one that was different. Now, I did ruffle up the edges as well, just to add a little bit of texture and dimension to the layout. And when I put on my clip that said hi, I decided to back it with a sticker, because otherwise that gray color was going to get lost in the background of the photo, plus the gray of the pattern papers. I was having adhesive trouble with this. You're going to see me pick up that pink tape runner multiple times and then put it back down because it eventually runs out. And so, here I pick my red one, but I can't remember for the life of me that it's the red that I need to pick up and not the pink. And I'll just tell you how lazy I was being at the moment. My ATG gun was like 10 feet away from my desk. I just didn't feel like leaving my desk and getting it. So yes, that's how lazy I was being. So what I'm trying to do at this point is, I liked that dark piece. That was also another branding strip, and I'd liked it to have another layer on that horizontal stripe, and I wanted to make sure that when I put the word on there, that the top of the L, the ascending part, would not go onto the gray, because then you kind of lose part of that word again, just because the tones of color are so close. And I was toying with placing one of the Cedar Lane tags in that upper right hand corner, but I decided on one of the labels from Freckled Fawn, and you are going to see me mess with that flare badge for a long time, but it does not make it on to the page. I really wanted it to, but there was just something about it that wasn't quite right, and I could not figure it out. But I think it has to do with, there was like a little bit of yellow in it, and every time I looked at it, my eye saw the yellow, but it had that kind of orangey red and aqua, and so I kept on thinking, well, those two colors are dominant, but I think the yellow was just throwing me, and I didn't really want to introduce another color into this. So I did pull out some enamel dots from my stash as well, and these Freckled Fawn enamel dots were so cool because they had like a little bit of silver sparkle in them, and I just felt like it really made those little embellishment clusters pop. So I took out my Project Life roller stamp and decided that I was going to use one of the phrases and stamp it over. And on my screen, it's too tiny for me to see, so I cannot remember exactly what it says, but it was something that was completely appropriate. Now, these pieces that I'm pulling out now were part of a cut apart sheet that I downloaded from HipKit. They have subscriber exclusives, and then they also have some freebies that they will do, and I'm not sure which one this was, but it was to go with the October kit. So I'm just pulling out some of the phrases to see what I can get to work. A lot of them are fall themed, but there's several of them that will work with any type of, non-themed layout, just in general good words. And I briefly thought about using that darker orangey red, but I thought that I just would let the enamel dots be that little pop of color, and that if I did the words in it as well, it was that orangey red color would start to take over, and I did not want that. So I decided to use my tiny attacher as well on that gray strip, just to help bring down some more of that metal look. I like, if I use it on an area, I like to at least use it on 2, if not 3 areas, and I will go ahead and attach this phrase down as well. So I was really pleased with the way that cluster came out, the top left-hand cluster, because I always have a hard time using my clips. So anytime I can get a clip to work on a layout, I am thrilled. And I'm getting to the end with this. You will see me mess around with that fun label, and I actually had to charge my camera for a little bit. So while it was charging, I figured out the placement and what I wanted. And I decided to use some really old letter stickers in my stash to go underneath that family banner, and it says softball because, it really is a family for us. And I liked that the fun was able to be brought down in the bottom, because it also helped to repeat that circle theme that wasn't truly a big thing, but I already had a label, so it was nice to bring that down as well. And then the last thing I do is I am going to sprinkle some mist on the page, and I'm using Heidi Swap tinsel, and then I come back in just a minute and use mint green as well, so that it would be, the mist would have just a little bit more depth to it. So that's pretty much it for me. If you haven't seen Mari's video, go check hers out. I will link it in the description box below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if so, let us know. And if you have some ideas or some things that you would like to see us do, let us know, because we're having a blast with this. So that's it for me. I will see you guys later. and I hope you have a great day. Bye.